It's not just one course, it's actually a cluster of 3 courses, and next year it'll be a cluster of hopefully 4 courses. It's COMP6441, COMP6841, and Laws 3040. And as we go on today, I'll just briefly let each of you know how the courses all interact, because you all come in through one way expecting one thing, so we'll let you know how it all fits together. Security engineering's a funny name. For a while there, people said cybersecurity, and it was even on our list. Well, at the end of the day, I'll give you a little list, a bingo list of words to watch out for people saying, and it was on the bingo list of just, if someone says this word, stay away from them because they're an imposter. People in the community hated the phrase cybersecurity. The important phrase for us was security. Cyber just sounded, it was weird. But we've sort of been conquered, and we refused to name anything with the word cyber in it for maybe a decade. But the media has now done so much on cybersecurity that everyone, even I find myself saying cyber all the time now. And cyber meaning cybersecurity, which is weird because, again, security is the important word. So the course has not got the word cyber in it anywhere. The course is called Security Engineering. Back then, it was a phrase that was invented in the UK by a brilliant man, Ross Anderson, who very sadly died recently. And in fact, I was going over to meet him for the first time. I'd spoken to him by email many times, or a number of times over the decades really, and I was going to see him face to face, and it was a real tragedy. So that's very sad. But he invented the phrase, and he's got a book called Security Engineering that you might want to find. It went through various editions. It's a great thing. It's not a textbook for this course, but it is a fantastic book that will tell you lots about security. So without any further ado, shall I just jump in and start? Ooh, look at that. That's fantastic. I'm not going to, there's something incredible on the screen. I'm not going to start with the screen just yet. I'll wait till these guys are done. So, let me start with a story. Years ago, not too many years ago, a student came up to me, or actually a friend came up to me and said, my father has a problem. I wonder if you could help. He'd been posting online in social media. He's a very prolific poster. He was a doctor. And he said something that was critical of a foreign government. Quite a lot of things that were critical of a foreign government. Let's say it was Russia. And he had lots of followers. And then one day he found that he'd been posting lots of things on social media that made himself look like an idiot, and also was supporting Russia and various things. And he hadn't literally typed those things himself, and he realized his account had somehow been taken over, or his computer had been compromised. And someone who was pro-Russian, let's say, was posting things in his account. And this person said to me, what should he do? He's turned everything off. Does he need to reinstall the operating system? Does he need to buy a new computer? Does he need to do nothing? It's all fine. What does this mean? Is his online banking in trouble now? Could his identity be stolen? He's freaking out because he has no idea what this means. Someone's into his system and he doesn't know how or what he should do. So what should he do? And this is the question I'm going to ask you. What advice would you give to this person who is very, very stressed? And security, I've got to say, as a discipline, involves us dealing with people who are very anxious in high stress situations quite a lot. And we need to be calm, and we need to give sensible advice. It's not trivial things. This is often someone's life savings at risk, someone who perhaps has retired and has no way of generating new life savings. Or you know, all sorts of awful things happen to people online. So, or a company just losing its profits, or a company being hacked and not knowing what to do, and knowing that when Medibank was hacked, I think the value of the company dropped some ridiculously large number. I want to say $1 billion. Does anyone know? Can it be worth that much? It seems to be. Anyway, it was just it was devastating on the stock market for them. It was the worst thing that had ever happened to the company. You're often dealing with that in security situations. So in these situations that you will encounter as you deal with security, high-stakes situation, you'll usually have to give advice and make a decision. So in this course, we're interested in telling you a whole lot of theory, and we'll explore what security is, what cyber security is, what it is to be a cybersecurity professional. We'll look at a lot of the theory behind it all. We'll look at some of the technical aspects of it, though most of the technical aspects happen in later courses. But mainly, we'll be grappling with the issue of how do we think the right way? So when someone asks us a question like that, we can confidently give a sensible answer. So over and over in the course, we'll be asking you questions and you'll have to make decisions. And at the end of this course, if we succeeded, you'll be able to make decisions, not just answer a multiple choice saying how this algorithm works or that algorithm works or things like that. You'll be able to, given a situation, notice what's important about it, because there'll be a million things in the situation. Some are important and some are distractors. And then you'll be able to give sensible advice. And we'll do that over and over again. So hopefully at the end of this course, you'll be in a position to have what we call the security mindset. And when employers are hiring people, if you want to get a job in security, mindset is ranked as one of the top things they're looking for. Not just someone who has theoretical knowledge. In fact, recently I was contacted by a large media organization who was saying, it's funny, there's a lot of discussion on, I think it was LinkedIn, about the difficulty some graduates are having in cyber of getting jobs. Some people graduate from some universities and they can't get a job. And as you know, cyber is, oh, you probably know, is one of the highest demand jobs in the world now. Certainly one of the highest demand jobs in IT. Cyber and data AI are just blowing everyone away because everyone wants lots of people who can do it, and there are very few people. One of our former students got given a Corvette, that's a car, as a signing bonus. So just agreeing to go and work for this company, which was in the US, and it's a very big famous company, you'll know, they gave him a Corvette because he was bloody excellent. What does bloody excellent mean? Sure, it means technical skills, but more than that, it means you know how to think like a security person. When you see a problem, you see what's important. And so we'll be doing lots of that in the course. Now, thanks Chris for setting it all up. That's really good. Is everything going well? Where are you? After that scary beginning?
As far as I can see, yes.
All right. Can you say hello to the online people for me?
They can hear you.
Yeah, but type hello. Okay, so here's the web page. So we go in through Moodle. Hopefully you're all able to access it. If not, do try during the lecture. And if you have any problems, come down and see Chris or any of the admin team during the break, and they'll help you get in. So you go to Moodle, there's a link on Moodle, it'll take you to WebCMS. WebCMS is one of the learning management systems we use in computing quite a lot. This is the first time we've been on WebCMS, so it's a bit new for us all. But just go in and you'll land on this page. An announcement from Chris, that's excellent. And here are the important links where you can find out about the course and all sorts of things. And let's go to lecture notes. Now, we have a particular way of doing lecture notes in this course, which is I write very, very, very cryptic, bad lecture slides, which we use to give the lectures, which are hopeless to anyone who actually wants to study the course for an exam. And what I noticed in the past was people would sit there smiling and nodding through the lecture thinking, yep, that makes sense, yep, that makes sense, yep, that makes sense. And I would look at their pad at the end of the lecture and they wouldn't have taken any notes. And I said, you should take some notes. And they said, no, it all made sense, I got it. And of course, it all made sense at the time, but then when they came to do the exam 8 or 9 weeks later, it didn't all make sense because all, you know, it just seemed so clear. So I thought, oh, how can we make people take notes? And of course, one way of doing, making people do something is you have punishments and inducements, and maybe I could walk around and I could call random people's names. What's your name? Henry. Henry, show me your notes. Nothing. Oh. And we could do that, and that would be this sort of scary way of doing it. But as you will see when we do this course, because this course is going to involve a lot about humans as well as a lot about technical things, making people do things is much harder than you think. And people being lazy, and I hope you're all very, very lazy, will try and do the bare minimum they need to do to comply with requirements without actually meeting the spirit of the requirements whatsoever. That's the human nature, minimizing energy. So rather than forcing people to take notes, and rather than bribing people to take notes, you hand in your notes at the end of the course and it'll be worth 3%. Oh, that's not enough to motivate people. It'll be worth 10%. It'll be worth 20%. We could like sort of bribe you into doing it, but instead what we do is we have this idea that we've now been doing for more than a decade, and it seems to work quite well, which is you just all help each other because you're all going to actually get to know each other quite well, especially if you stay in the security world, because the people in this room and online will also be going into the security world, and probably a huge number of the grads in Sydney that go into security for the last 20 years have come from here. So every firm is littered with former UNSW people at every level, and you'll be tutored by them and meet them, and they'll also be in your tutes with you, and you'll all be friends. Cyber is a very interesting world. Of all the IT, it's the friendliest that I know, that everyone helps each other. If there's a hack at one bank, they ring each other up and they say, hey, you should look out for this. It's a very lovely and caring community. It's a terrific profession to be in. I know very few nasty cyber people. Most of them are very good. So you will be in a community where everyone helps each other. So here's what we're going to do. Everyone takes turns in writing notes. And today, week 1, Monday 6 till 7, in the first lecture, oh, I should have started the clock. What time is it now? 20 past. Whoa, we lost a lot of time. Thank you. So if the people in Monday 6 to 7 who are enrolled in 6441 or 304, that's not a real course, 3040, wave if you're in the 6 to 7 tutorial. It's a very early...
No, it's not. It's W19A, right? The tutorial group.
Oh, yeah, I see. Because they'd have a tute during the lecture. That'd be just so awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
W19A.
W19A.
For 6441 or 3040, it's during the notes for the first hour.
Yes.
That's right.
W19A. So if you're in W19A, in fact, if you're in a W19, if you're Wednesday 7 o'clock tute in either of the two main groups, then you're taking the lecture notes collaboratively. Just follow these links, click through, there's a Google Doc. If you could just all work together as a tutorial and take notes. And then every week a different tutorial, every hour actually, a different tutorial group jumps in and takes notes. They're collaborative notes. Everyone's welcome to go back and edit them as much as you want. They're available to you in the exam. And just everyone works together. And it means you've only got to take notes once in the entire course, and you get a lovely set of notes. So yeah, if you're in that group, your tutors will talk more about it once we get to Wednesday, but for the first few days, these guys are on their own just doing it. Normally, actually, they do a magnificent job. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're in any of those, wave if you're in that group. Is there anyone in that group now? No one. Oh man, I'm putting lots of exam questions on today's lecture then. That's excellent. Is there really no one doing Wednesday tutorial?
I'm doing Wednesday, but
Not that time. Could you change? Anyway, if someone could jump in and write notes and help those poor guys out, it might be a phantom tutorial. But anyway, if we can go through and everyone has a whack at helping. And of course, you can also take notes yourself. A lot of people like taking notes. I do, because it helps me think when things are happening. So there's no reason you can't go in and add to the notes as it's happening, even if you're not the nominated group for doing the initial set. Okay, so let me jump into the lecture slides. Now, I thought I'd set it up so you can all go to it. It does have world public access, but somehow I've got to fiddle with it a bit. So at the moment, you can't get to my slides. They're not super helpful because, as I say, they're a bit cryptic, but I will set it up so you can all see whatever I've done in the lecture and the slides as well. Okay, so who's doing the collaborative notes? So yeah, hack response, advice to your parent, I've already done. What's the course about? What is security? And why is it important? So the course is probably about 3 things. It's about mindset, about getting a security mindset. It's about technology and techniques, so the particular technical parts of attack and defense. And it's also about, I think I probably said professional. It's about how to actually be an effective cybersecurity professional. So we will get a CISO, that's a Chief Information Security Officer, the head of security at a fairly big company to come. We get different ones in different years coming. We'll get at least one coming talking about what it is to run a large team and to manage cyber, because it's an enormous weight on your shoulder. Years ago, we did get the Optus CISO to come in and talk about what it's like. A couple of years before the Optus hack. And the students grilled him. And I do remember after he left, there was a little sad silence, and some of the students, anyway, Anyway, I won't go into that. But it's interesting for all sorts of reasons to hear the CISOs talk. What it is to be a good leader, what it is to run a team, because you will eventually all be running teams and working with colleagues. So they're the sets of skill. Why is it important? I'm going to show you a video to show you why it's important. This is a short clip from a film called War Games. In the second half of this lecture, in the second hour, I'm going to ask you a question about this. So just watch it and think about it and watch closely. And in fact, your exam will be set up in much a similar way. The second part of the exam, when you do the final exam, will give you a scenario, often through a film, and then we'll ask you to do some analysis on it. And you'll have to use your security eyes, and you'll have to look at the scenario and work out what's important and what's not and what advice you give. Here's just a quick scenario now from War Games, a very interesting film. Cybersecurity in a way, in serious business. When this film came out, Ronald Reagan, who was the president of the United States at the time, saw it, and he met the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the head of the Army, Air Force, Navy, and he said to them at the next meeting when he met them all, I just saw this film. Could that actually happen? And the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said, sir, let me get back to you. And in probably one of the most famous responses to an American president ever, in a week or so, when he got back to him, he said, Mr. President, I'm afraid I have to report that the situation is far worse than we had imagined. And then funding went nuts for cyber and thinking about it. Now let me just tell you about yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt, but we've lost the online stream.
We've lost the online stream.
We have. So whatever you say now, whether it be important or not, will not be heard by the 350 people watching.
Oh no!
We will probably need to restart the stream completely.
Can you guys do that and communicate with them, and we'll just keep going? They'll have to watch the recording.
Sure.
Because yeah. Yeah. Tell me if I need to do anything, otherwise I'll just keep going, I think.
Please take down the YouTube video from the stream.
Please take the YouTube video down from the stream.
We're not publishing
Oh?
work made by someone else.
Oh, no, I made this film. This is entirely me. There we go. Is that why you took it down? He protects me so much, Chris does. Okay. So it's just interesting from a film point of view to think about this film. The rest of this film is a teen romance about being a hacker. You never see these characters again, though you do a bit later on. Actually, you hear one or two of their voices. This scene almost could have been filmed independently of the rest of the film. I love this. Oh, all good. Hello. I love this sequence, this film, so much. The idea was they wanted to make a film about a hacker, Matthew Broderick, and they wanted to have it a high-stakes film. And back in the old days, I used to have a little computer, and I used to program it a long time ago, far before you were born, perhaps even your parents were born. And I used to program it, and I wrote this incredible program that stored recipes. And I took my computer, which was like this big, around to the kitchen, and I gave it to Mum as a Mother's Day present. And I said, all you've got to do is put the cassette in here, start it, type the load command, and then if you hit 1, it'll display the recipe on the screen for lasagna. And if you hit 2, it'll display the recipe for spaghetti bolognese. And if you hit 3, it'll display the recipe for poached eggs, because I was not that much of a cook. And I said, Mum, I can put the rest of your recipes on here. And this is going to revolutionize all your cooking. Instead of just having that really awkward and really small little paper book full of recipes, you've now got my enormous heavy computer in the kitchen, and you can just type a number and it'll display the recipe for you. Because that's pretty much all you could do with computers back then. So if you'd been an elite hacker and somehow worked out how to hack into my computer, which would have been difficult because it wasn't connected to anything, all you could have done was stolen or maliciously changed Mum's recipes. So hacking wasn't really a high stakes thing back then. So when the guys, I imagine, went to the funders and said, we'd like to make this film and we'd like to explore hacker culture and things like that and how you can break into computers and so on, I'm pretty sure the funders would have said, yeah, sort of, who cares? You know, the audience has enough recipes already. So they had to make the film with stakes in it so that you would care that someone was hacking systems. And here's how they did it. They opened with this sequence. In this sequence, we saw that the people in the Minuteman silos get a launch order. It turns out it's just a training exercise. A weird sort of training exercise, really, where missiles actually are powering up and bunker doors are opening. But it was a training exercise, and they wanted to see how many people would follow commands, the command to launch. And in the logic of the film, they found that an enormous number, it might have been 40% of people, failed to launch, even when they were given that direct order from the president to launch. They had moral qualms and all sorts of things, and they just didn't launch. And this was, and I think this is actually quite realistic. And this was a shock to the president and to the military, that a chain of command order could be issued and people wouldn't obey it. And the problem with nuclear weapons is obeying it can cause terrible things to happen. And we will later on, we will get to nuclear weapons later on in the course. We will find examples of when orders were disobeyed by people, particularly one famous person in Russia, and averted a nuclear war because he did disobey that order, issued due to a mistake. So we all owe him a big debt of gratitude. So the idea was, the president's upset that he's issuing a launch order and it's not being obeyed, and someone says, sir, the problem is we have humans in the loop. What we really need is a computer to launch. When you issue the command, you'll type launch, and then a computer will launch all the missiles, and no one will be able to countermand that order. And the president said, that's brilliant, go ahead. So the rest of this film is set in a world where they've connected, these guys get chucked out of the silo, they've connected all the silos to a central computer in the mountains at NORAD headquarters. And this boy, Matthew Broderick, a hacker, hacks into that computer. And he's just looking for computer games, and he thinks he's found a computer game, and on the main menu, he says, oh, list all your games, and it lists a series of games. And the bottom one is Global Thermonuclear War. And he says, I want to play that one. And he starts doing it, and he picks targets and silos, and he's playing, he's going, oh, this is really good. Meanwhile, silos are opening, missiles are powering up, and people at NORAD are going nuts, saying, hang on, someone's controlling our launch system. And now that gave a stress to the rest of the film. And the rest of the film is about the FBI trying to find this person who they think is an enemy agent. I won't spoil by saying any more about the film, but here's the point. If we made this film, War Games, now, we wouldn't need this whole opening sequence. Because no longer do people think if you break into a computer, there's no consequence, there's no hazard. Computers do control launch. They control aeroplanes, aeroplane flight. They control elevators, they control cars, they control power, they control all our money, they control our communications, they control our memories, they control our data and our passwords, our financial flows, they control how dams open and shut, they control the opening and shutting of bridges, they control how power stations work, they control air conditioning systems, traffic systems. Computers control everything, satellites in space. Someone that hacks into a computer today can affect anything, because the world now massively depends on digital things. It's much cheaper to depend on digital things than it is to depend on people. So we've seen over 20 years that the world has moved more and more. One day, I think we'll end up with no actual cash. One day, I think, or it's possible, all our transactions will be digital. And for security people, that's a frightening thought, though to the government and the banks, it's a very pleasant thought because it's much cheaper to do. But then, of course, someone hacking in can get all the money, can turn all the money off, can move all the money around, can stop. We've seen it when ATM networks go down. When that happens, I start gathering news stories, just examples of what happens when people can't buy things because their credit card's not working. So this is why it's important, answering the question. It's important now, and the stakes are so high now, because without noticing it, we've sort of sleepwalked into a situation where we critically depend on computers. And all the time, the people making the decisions to take humans out of the loop and put computers into the loop have been focusing on the benefits, which are huge. Computers don't make stupid mistakes. Computers obey orders. Computers are cheap. Computers are fast. It saved companies vast amounts of money, massive productivity gains over the last decade, largely from replacing people with computers. That's the innovation we've seen. And it's not till much later that voices, particularly cyber voices, and yours going forward, I hope, start to say there are all these benefits with replacing humans with computers, but we should also think about the risks, the costs. And actually every decision to do that needs to be a carefully thought out balancing of the two. But we've sort of walked into a situation where that hasn't happened. And now the world is critically dependent on systems, and lo and behold, we see all the attacks happening now and all the criminals making money and all the governments involving, all the governments are now doing cyber war and interested in cyber war. Australia a long time stood out, but we've jumped in as well, and we're training attack and defence, not just defence, but also attack. So everyone sees this as an issue and everyone's doing it. So that's why it's important. And that's why this is a really important course, because, the introduction to an important sort of way of thinking for all IT people, because we've somehow moved to a situation where we're seriously at risk because of the decisions we've made without thinking about security, and now we've got to play this very quick, fast catch-up game to start thinking about security. And it's happening all around the world. And of course, everyone's trying to hire people to do it. There are no people, or very few people, who can do it or understand it, because cyber is very different to normal computing. It has all the stuff that normal computing has, or if you're a lawyer, it's very different to normal law. It has all the normal stuff. You need to have all the strong technical skills. You need to understand how things work. You need to be able to build and design software, or build and design legislation and control regulation. You need to be able to do all the things you can do in the normal discipline. But in the normal discipline, it's largely about us obeying people and doing what we want, doing what we're supposed to do. So here's the spec. I'm sure we've drummed into you from first year, if you're a computing student, well, your code has to comply with the spec. If it doesn't comply with the spec, you do something else that you think's better, you get marks down, because we're going to test you in accordance with the spec. So really, most of the computing you've done up until now has been in a context of doing what you're told to do and trusting and assuming that all the systems surrounding you are doing the right thing. But cyber is the exact opposite. Cyber is what happens when something goes wrong. What happens when someone behaves outside the spec? When not just how does my system operate in correct success mode, how does my system operate in failure mode? Now, lawyers have a bit of a head start on us here, because as well as drafting legislation, there's a lot of litigation that goes on where people try and essentially hack legislation. They try and do things that are in accordance with the legislation and they can optimize it to their benefit. That's been happening for a long time. I think back to the Merchant of Venice, at least, that old Shakespeare play. So perhaps lawyers are a bit more used to the idea of systems we build not being right and asking hard questions. But for a lot of us, it's new. So this is going to be involve all the stuff you've seen already, but also a whole lot of new stuff. All right, that was the world's longest intro. I just wanted to give you some context. Let's race down now quickly through these points, because I want to give us a break, and then I've got something fun to show you after the break. So the course involves three things, I think. In this course, you'll learn mindsets, you'll learn skills, and you'll learn professional stuff. There are three lecturers. Richard, that's me. Chris, do you want to stand up so everyone can see you?
Oh, so much effort. Hello. See me walking around,
Chris.
say hi.
You'll see Chris, he's fantastic. Lyria, where are you? Oh, you're right in the front. Do you want to stand up? Let everyone see you. Lyria is a professor of law, head of School of Law and Criminology. A brilliant person. Chris is brilliant too, and has worked as a various rascally security person, as well as being an academic, as well as just being we're not going to talk about that, as well as just being outstandingly good at security. The structure of the course is we're going to have lectures. For most of you, for the lawyers, you'll turn up largely on the Tuesday to the Tuesday lectures. For the Monday at the beginning and the end, that's today, and this equivalent time in week 10, you'll turn up as well, and we cover things for everyone. The other Monday lectures, the lawyers don't have to come to, the law students don't have to come to, and we will do slightly more technical things. However, it's completely accessible if you're a law student, so you're very welcome to come. We're not trying to stop you coming. We just don't want to stress you out. We'll do little bits and pieces where we look at how we analyse risk, how we do computation around risk. We'll look at a series of sort of slightly more technical things, but things that would be really useful to know. It's absolutely not examinable for law students in any way whatsoever, but actually often quite a few still come along and do it. So they're the Monday and Tuesday lectures. On Tuesday night, after the Tuesday lecture, we show a film in most weeks. And I don't know if that's going to break the streaming. I think it will. I don't think we'll be able to stream the film. So for those people who are at home, you are welcome to come in and watch the film if you want. In fact, looking around the room now, there's spare seats. So anyone is always welcome to come in. The film is entirely optional. It's entirely non-compulsory. We normally get 50 people turning up, maybe more, because the class is much bigger this year. So most people don't come. But the people that come often say it's the best thing ever. And towards the end, we get people coming towards the end and they say, oh, I wish I'd known about this, that I've come all along. Because what we do is we watch a film, and then when the film is over, we all discuss the film. And we analyse the film from a security point of view. And we go over it and try and understand the security ideas that are in the film. And the reason we pick a film is it's the easiest way of just doing a big dump of data and a big case study. So it lets us do all the what ifs. What should have happened in this scenario? What should have happened in this scenario? And everyone has different ideas, and collectively we come up with some pretty fantastic thoughts. So that's a really fun thing. Is there anyone here who's come to the film nights before? Are there former students here? Do we have any formers? Yes, yes, what do you think? Did you come to the films?
Yeah, I did.
Hang on, let me give you a mic.
Cool.
So you turn that one on, and then unmute this one.
Oh wow, it's so complicated.
Ooh, double mic.
Double mic.
Redundancy.
This is very exciting. This was a few years back,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was good. I think we watched Apollo 13. Is that still?
Oh, we did
still going
Apollo
on?
13. I don't know if we'll do it this year. Yeah,
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 okay.
that's right. What did you think?
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you think of the discussion afterwards?
It was very insightful. It's good to
Yeah.
hear from
Yeah.
a lot of voices.
Yeah, yeah. I really like it too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And welcome back. You'll pass this time. My little joke. Okay, so yeah, there's a movie. You're very warmly welcome to come. SecSoc comes along and they bring pizza for us all. And we have lots of fun. You don't have to come, but you're very welcome to. This week in the film, we'll be actually going over war games and analysing it. It's possibly one of the most important films about cybersecurity there is, as well as being quite an awesome film. We have tutorials. In the tutorials every week, you will do what we call analysis. So you'll be given a case study, a series of issues and data. Oh,
One set's enough.
one set. No, I wanted to have 4 mics. Thanks, Chris. And then you'll discuss them in your tutorial. You'll break into groups and try and solve problems. There'll be unseen problems. We'll give you the situation first, and you have to prepare. You'll look like an idiot if you turn up without having prepared, but you read and understand the situation before you turn up. And then once you're there, we give you a sight unseen question, and you all get into groups and debate it. And you do it in 2s and 4s, and then you do it in subgroups, and everyone works together to try and find a solution. Lawyers and computer scientists mixed together. I will talk more about them tomorrow, but then at the end of that, you can ask questions about the course and how you're going. You'll show everyone how your project's going, because there's a project that I'm about to tell you about, and so on and so on. Towards the very end of the tutes, if you're in the 6441 and laws tutes, we'll reach a point where the tutor says, that's the end of the core stuff for everyone. Lawyers, there's nothing that we're going to say from now on that's examinable for you, but you're very welcome to stay. So some lawyers might want to go, and some might want to stay just to hear the discussion of the rest. I think it's interesting to hear the whole thing, but it could be stressful if you didn't know you weren't going to be examined on it. So you just have to know that it's not examinable for you, and you're welcome to do whatever you want and change your mind every week, and so on and so on and so on. And there's a law workshop on Tuesday morning, is that right, Lyria?
Tuesday afternoon.
Tuesday afternoon, and that's before the Tuesday lecture.
Yes.
And they'll come, and that's just for lawyers, but everyone else is welcome too.
Can I say
You certainly can, and Chris has a mic or 2 for you.
2 or 3 or 4?
I don't know what I've got anymore.
That one?
I've got
That
together.
works?
No, both of them.
Do I need both?
That one for the lecture, this one for online.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So as I said, I'm Lyria. I'm kind of managing the law component of this. But I kind of just wanted to say a few words, I guess, about why we've put everybody together in one
Thanks,
giant conglomeration.
Yeah.
Because this is relatively unusual for UNSW. In fact, it's relatively unusual
In the world.
in the world. So the idea of doing this, of putting the lawyers and the engineering students together, is that in the real world, they have to work together in these situations. If there is a breach, if there is an incident, the first thing the cyber team should be doing is actually calling the lawyers, because there's a whole bunch of legal obligations involved. And even aside from incidents, in day-to-day management, you can call it compliance, you can call it whatever you want, but there are legal rules, for example, around how data's managed, how it's processed, and so forth. So ultimately, cybersecurity goes well when people are working well together, right? And so this course is kind of our place for starting that to happen. So getting people start to get used to working with each other, both in the context of the particular problems in the tutes, but also in the context of thinking about policy, like what should we do about this situation, right? Cybersecurity is a really complicated policy problem, and it's one where technical and legal people need to work together. So that's the sort of broad, sort of just a very high level framing for why we do what we do. The law seminars run 2 o'clock to 3:30 on Tuesdays. So it's listed in the timetable as 2 hours because UNSW can't cope with an hour and a half, but it's actually only an hour and a half, which means that you have a break in between the law seminar and the main lecture. We really welcome anyone from the computer science courses, 6441, 6841, who is interested in learning about the law to come along. Or even if they don't want to come along or they're busy at that time, you can often follow the law sort of podcast. There's usually a podcast most weeks that goes up on the website, which is just, you can listen to on the train, while you're cooking dinner, whatever you want, and that will often explain some of the core concepts, and each week we do a different concept, but you're very welcome just to do that and sort of follow along. No knowledge is ever wasted. The computing science students are not examined on any of the legal content except when we explicitly cover it in the Tuesday lectures, which we sometimes will. But otherwise, it's a bit like the law students if they want to come along on Mondays. It's just for extra learning and fun.
Thank you, Lyria. Thank you. It's such a pleasure having you and the law students involved. It's an incredible mix, engineers and law students. You often don't really meet each other and interact, I think, until you're in the professional world. And I've spoken to lots of lawyers who just pull their hair out. Thank you.
No feedback, please.
Trying to work out how to deal with engineers, and it's just obvious to me, well, you just said this and they thought that, so you have to say this. And they go, oh, really? Surely they worked out the subtext. And I go, what's subtext? So just get used to interacting and talking together. When Lyria said that it's all new, this is really summarising the whole field. Everything is new now. Legislation, policies, people in government don't know. I often think it's like crocodiles. If you lived in the Northern Territory, I went to Darwin. I went down to the beach because I found you could walk from the city to the beach. I went to the beach, there was no one there. It was the best ever. I was splashing around in the water, having the best time, thinking, how can I be next to a city and no one else but me is splashing around on the beach? Until I realised, oh, hang on, that sign over there that says, stay out of the water or you'll get killed by crocodiles, maybe that's a sign I should read. I just didn't know anything about crocodiles. I'm used to Sydney. I'm thinking the real danger is blue bottles or something. I wasn't thinking crocodiles were a threat. But I think people who grew up in the Northern Territory just know crocodiles are a threat and adjust their behaviour accordingly. And families know how to behave, and you know how to do when you see one, and you know where you can go and where you can't go, and all sorts of things that a stranger like me who's never seen crocodiles before, I just make bad risk decisions. Well, cyber's like that. Cyber's like, you live in Sydney, you wake up one morning and now there's crocodiles. We've turned into Perth. But you haven't grown up all your life and got the habits and understanding of crocodiles and behaviours and norms and signage and things. And this is what's happened with cyber. We just, at every level, from government, senior, to grandparents, down to kids, no one knows. It's all new to us all. And we sort of know, but it's not in our guts like knowing about crocodiles is. So we make all sorts of bad mistakes. So it's a very exciting time. Lyria is constantly involved in advising the government and lobbying to change laws this way and that way. And a lot of computing people are too. Me occasionally sometime, but never as effectively as Lyria. So really, we will be the foreguard going forward to try and change this world. It is new for us all. We need to change technology, we need to change behaviours, we need to change companies, we need to change legislation. Everything needs to be seen with crocodile eyes. Okay. So that is super exciting. What Lyria said about welcome to turn up, that's sort of the heart of this course. We believe that you learn best by just gobbling up knowledge and being curious about things. And cyber doesn't really work if you stay in a little area. You sort of need to know a little bit about everything. So can I encourage everyone in this course, now I'm going to talk about student mindset rather than cyber mindset. Can you be full of curiosity and interest? Can you say yes to things rather than no? Can you try everything possible? We'll talk after the break about how we do marks and things like that. We've sort of designed the whole thing to let you be as free as you want and you'll still do well. We're trying not to make a mark a disincentive for learning stuff. So yeah, bloody hell, turn up to the law things. You can learn it for free. I call that illegal learning. We won't tell the government. You can actually just turn, if we have 4 separate courses, then you couldn't turn up to anything. But under the umbrella of this, everyone is entitled to go to everything and learn everything, and no one has to pay the government anything. It's just fantastic. You could get arrested for illegal learning, but there you go. So can I just encourage, and going along with that mindset, we'll talk about this each week, here's a little tip. When you turn up, look at the person on either side of you and smile and say hi to them, or just smile at them. Maybe everyone should do that now. Just look at someone and smile, especially if you don't know that person. So look both ways. Look, you guys look at each other and just say hi. Okay, we'll stop. We'll stop. 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 Shh, 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 shh. Look at you all talking to each other. You can't stop. How fantastic is that? Shh, 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 shh. But do stop. Can everyone just say with me, shh? Let's chain reaction, the shushes. What you just did then was fantastic. Please keep doing that over the course, because everything's going to be better when we do it with someone else. And we'll talk about that tomorrow, about how literally that you're going to find that that is the case. Can I encourage you every time you come in, because you're going to have all these preconceptions, and preconceptions are death in security. Preconceptions are where the enemy attacks. The enemy waits for you to trust something, to assume something, to get in a habit. And then they invalidate that thing you're trusting and they exploit that habit. So you have to be flexible and changing all the time. So here's just one warm-up exercise that I suggest. And you can do it in all your courses, but please do it in this course. When you come in every day, please sit in a different spot. Get a different point of view. Sometimes sit down the front, sometimes sit at the back, always looking and saying hi to each other and just smiling. You don't have to do more than that if you're nervous or shy, but just smile and at least nod and recognize each other exists. But sit in a different spot and just try and mix it up a bit. Say yes to everything you can and try and learn stuff. And try and be in a growth mindset. So try and be positive. Don't stand around grumbling and complaining. When teamwork doesn't work, we do lots of teamwork in engineering. Here's what I've noticed. When teamwork doesn't work, the best engineering students go, we had a problem in our team. Wow, I'm going to learn about how to fix that problem. I've learned what not to do next time. Sometimes I have business students. When teamwork doesn't work, they go to enormous troubles to work out who's at fault and how to blame other people. I want us to be firmly, sorry to make fun of business students, I was a business student. Please, can everyone be in a growth mindset? When something doesn't work, try and think, how can I learn from this? Go, whoopee. A friend of mine says, the best way to learn is from mistakes, and he's absolutely right. He also says, the best mistakes to learn from are other people's mistakes, which he's also right about, and we will look at lots of other people's mistakes with case studies. But if you could just try everything, don't worry if it works or fails, both ways is useful information. Don't be frightened of failure. We're not going to penalise you with marks for failure. Okay, just racing through very quickly because we'll have a break and a tick. How will you, oh, there's a conference in week 4. We've sort of set it up like this. There's a big security education conference. It's from around Australia, but we're holding it at UNSW. We'll give you free tickets, I'm pretty sure. Are they free, Caitlin? Oh, I might have promised. We'll certainly give you massively discounted tickets. Might still cost $5 or $10. But we've managed to get a deal with the organizer. Can everyone turn up? It's called the secEDU Security Education Conference. You can present your work. Last year, some amazing students presented their work, but also just sit there. There'll be major employers there. There'll be people from the industry talking about what it's like. There'll be people from universities around Australia and teachers around Australia, all obsessed with cybersecurity and cybersecurity education. Please say yes to that. It's in week 4 on the Thursday. And the thing that would be brave of you is to volunteer to present your project. It won't be finished, it'll just be an idea, but present your project idea. How many did it last year, Caitlin? Was it about 20? They were amazing, and I know all those students really well, and they just rocked my socks. And some of them we linked up with people from industry, and their projects went on to do amazing things. And they were so brave. We've got a room, probably we could even fit 30 in that area. So just early volunteer, challenge yourself, and say, yeah, I'm going to present my work. A, it'll force you to do something, so you've got something to present by then. But B, you've got this most receptive thing. A team of really senior cybersecurity people went round looking at everyone and judging and chatting to the people. Oh, good grief, you'll never meet these people again in normal life. It's this incredible opportunity to introduce yourself to them and them to see what you're doing. Similarly, there's another opportunity for you, which is in your tutorials. If you've learnt anything interesting or good and you want to share it, then we have lightning presentations. You can spend up to 3 minutes at the start of the tute just telling the rest of the tute about something awesome you've found. It's a scary thing to do, so challenge yourself to do it. If it's easy for you to do that, then don't do it. Leave space for someone that's a little bit tricky to. I say, set yourself a mental challenge now. Sometime over this term, I'm going to stand up and present something awesome to the rest of my tutorial group. And it could just be anything you've learnt that's interesting. Please, it's just part of the saying yes to things. Everyone try and do that. I don't think there's any marks for it. Or do we even give a mark, maybe?
We have done bonus points.
We sometimes give a bonus mark. Hey, but don't do it for marks. And it's not based on it being a good presentation. It's just based on being courageous and doing it. Yeah, yeah.
Richard, can I say something before
You certainly can, Chris.
before you give them a break?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. All right, I might just stand up for this one. Hi, everyone. A couple of things that I've seen online. Where is the law seminar, Lyria?
You can find it on the UNSW timetable.
You can find it on the timetable. I'm just lazy.
Okay.
As is every student that has asked me that question, because they could also have found it there. But I thought I'd fill in everybody.
But this is an example of why it's great having the lawyers around. It would cost you so much money to ask legal cybersecurity questions.
Oh yeah,
normally.
that just cost me $1,400.
What is the law about hacking? Can I do this? Can I do that? You've got lawyers sitting here for free. You should just come and ask them while you can. Yeah.
The second thing is Quadrangle G031.
Yes.
That is the law seminar, and that is between 2 and 3:30. There is also the seminar that is listed on the comp timetable.
Oh, I forgot to mention that.
That is 6 till 8.
I didn't say that. That's for the people doing 6841.
No, that's the different one. So that's my Thursday one.
Yes.
So on Tuesday, there's another seminar, which is labeled as seminar on the timetable, which everyone is getting confused. That is movie night. So we have law seminar, we have movie night seminar, and then we have extended seminar, just to make things confusing.
Oh.
Yeah, please.
Everyone is completely clear. And also some of the information on the web was wrong because it hadn't been updated. So to make everything completely clear, this time slot, right, 6 to 8 on Mondays is mandatory for the 2 comp programs, not for the law students.
Yes.
Except this week and in week 10. Mm-hmm. The Tuesday, the first thing is the law seminar 2 to 3:30 in the Quadrangle building. Then
which is mandatory for law students.
Mandatory for law students, optional for
anyone
comp
else.
students.
Yep.
Then this seminar, the main
This
seminar,
lecture,
which is
4
4
till
to
6.
6, which is mandatory for everyone.
Everyone.
Then 6 to 8 is movie night, which is optional for everyone. And then Thursday is for 6841.
Thursday 6 till 8, 6841. That is required for the extended course and not any of the others, but of course you're welcome to come along.
I haven't really said anything about the extended course, but it's like the normal course, but you do a whole lot of technical stuff as well.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a bunch more content,
Yep.
and we have a whole lot of lecture
Yep.
tomorrow.
Yep.
The last thing that I wanted to say is the lecture notes that people are meant to be writing at the moment have been locked because some of y'all can't behave. We are trusting you as security professionals to act ethically from day dot. Some of the things that we'll be talking about are real world, so please behave. These lecture notes, I don't know if you mentioned what they're going to be used for, but they are super important for the course, and it is actually critical that you get these lecture notes in time. So a lot of nuggets, funny, not helpful. Deleting everything, not funny and not helpful.
Did someone do that?
So please, we do not want to have to authenticate
Wow.
these. We don't want to have to track you. We're going to treat you all like adults. So before I unlock them, I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows, please act responsibly.
Oh yeah, I should talk about the good faith policy. So basically, thanks, Lyria. Is that you done? That was a very good.
Yes, it's
clear.
probably got a break
Yep.
soon.
Yeah, we're just about to go to break. But I did want to say the good faith policy before we do. So Of course, our fear is, and we've had it for 20 years, that people will go out and do bad things after doing this course or while doing this course. And the Sydney Morning Herald or the Daily Telegraph will print an article saying UNSW teaches students to do X, Y, Z, and then the course will get canned. We won't be able to teach it anymore. I think we are the best at teaching cybersecurity in Australia. We run a hacking competition this year, and previously the government ran it, but we're running it now. Tom's running it, in fact. Where are you, Tom? There. We ran for a decade. All the unis in Australia went into it, or all the ones that taught cyber, and in the first year, we won it. In the second year, they let us put 3 teams in, and we came first, second, and third. Every year that it's run, UNSW always wins. We're awesome. We've trained so many people, and it's not me that's awesome, it's you guys that's awesome. We've trained so many people that whenever I go to any company, I'm always seeing former students in really senior roles. It would be a tragedy for this course to stop. So you guys do whatever stuff you want in your everyday life and take whatever risks you want. But while you're in this course, we don't want you to do any hacking, and we don't want you to break the law. We don't want you to delete things or spoil things for other people. We have a big elaborate policy saying what you can and can't do. And of course, you're good security people. So you'll work out a way of complying with that policy, but actually violating the whole intent of that policy, but you'll still technically comply with it. So we're not going to do that. Instead, our general policy, which we call the good faith policy, is don't be a dick. So please just don't be a dick. So if someone writes a whole lot of lecture notes and you delete it, you're a dick. Don't do that. It's a little bit funny, it's a big bit dick. So, but it's fine, we all do that. I was such a dick when I was your age. So, but now I've said it, please just try and control it, because otherwise we will have to stop the course, and that would be really sad. So no hacking things, don't touch UNSW systems at all. Of course you can break into them, they're useless. Don't try, don't do anything bad, don't do anything illegal, don't access any system without consent, don't try and scam your fellow students. All of that stuff's so easy, you could do it. It doesn't impress anyone, we all know we can do it. I remember when Finbar used to run the prac exam, he wouldn't even bother getting a UNSW login. He'd just come in and say, I'm going to run the prac exam now, and he'd sit down at a terminal, and he'd go, chicka, 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 and he'd go, whoa, look at this. And chicka, 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 he says, oh, here, I'm in the Vice Chancellor's account. And I'd say, no, stop, stop. So, you know, it's just, it's, sure, I mean, you're not against the NSA here. So please, everyone, just behave nicely to each other, because we're going to do such great things, and we really want to help you, and we'll connect you with industry. And students have gone on to do all sorts of amazing things after doing this course, that if the course stopped, we couldn't have connected them and let them do.
Just on that,
Yep.
people in theatre, I've had people that have broken out of certain environments and sensitive information accidentally. That's how quickly things can fall over. So please be very, very careful when you're doing things. And for everybody, if you do want to hack things, that's what the 6841 weekly exercises are going to be. So I'm actually going to set up situations where you can hack things and go and use your skills for good as opposed to evil. So there will be options for you.
And there's a whole range of courses we've got going forward that let you get exposed to better and better and harder challenges taught by some of Australia's leading hackers. So yeah, please stay in the course, support the whole thing, and we're going to give you incredible experiences. I want to take a break. To start the break though, let me give you a scenario, and then I want you to think about it over the break. Just a reset break. I want you to think of, over the next 5 minutes before we get back together, how someone, I don't want to say your house, a house you know that's not your house, how someone could break into that house. I want as many ways as possible of breaking into that house. And we'll ask you when you come back from the break in 5 minutes. Go. have a scribe? Caitlin. Where's Caitlin? Caitlin. She's gone? Does anyone know where Caitlin is? She might have gone. She had the whiteboard marker. Damn, Chris, you didn't get the whiteboard marker from Caitlin, did you?
I did. It is right here.
Ah, perfect. Would someone mind volunteering being a scribe? And we're just going to write down ideas of how to attack a house. Thank you. Hang on. One of these will go up. That one. Thank you. What's your name?
Henry.
Thanks, Henry. Okay. Wave your hand. Let's just do it super fast. Ways. Shh. Don't let me lose my voice. Ways of attacking a house. Ways of breaking in. You think of a yes. Lock impressioning. Wow, that's fancy. Like key impressioning or lock impressioning.
Yeah, if you only have
If you only have.
the key, now you're gonna have the key.
Yeah.
As the guy like
That's-
falls somewhere.
So essentially, it's attack on the locking mechanism. It's very, very clever. Lock impressioning is when you stick the key in and you jiggle it and it makes little marks where you should etch it out too. Yeah, very good. That's very, very clever attack. So yeah, attack the key.
Coercion, like social.
Coercion, how would that work?
So, if it's a long-term operation, for example, you can pretend to be their friend over.
Pretend to be there, play the long game. What's your name? Darian, brilliant. So trick them, long game. That's really good. Pretend to be their friend, pretend to be their child. Yes. Break the door down, physical force. Well done.
Break into their car and hide in the boot as they drive into the
Trojan horse it. Hide in the car, in the boot, and let them drive you in themselves. I have a funny attack that if we've got time, I'll tell you about. Yes? Just walk in through the door. Well, while they're home or... Yeah, or if they're not home, just try the front door. Yeah, well done. Yes? Ring the doorbell and beat them up. Another variant of physical force and surprise. Yes?
Identity governance, something with regards to identity. So you can maybe anything that's governing the identity of the owner, maybe bypass that.
Bypass the identity. So give an example.
For example, if the parent,
Yes.
making like a clone of the identity card or a pass card.
Oh, if they use some sort of card to access, they're in a block of flats or something, clone the pass card. Or clone the parent, I was thinking, like do the Mission Impossible, biometrics. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes? Window, through a window. Well done. What's your name?
My name.
Yeah. Oldie but a goodie. Well done.
Dig a hole in front of the porch, wait for them to fall into it, then take the key.
Dig a hole in front of the porch, wait for them to fall in it, then take the key. Oh, I like it, a multi-stage strategy.
Pretend to be a delivery man and need signature.
Pretend to be a delivery man and need a signature, or need something they have to go inside the house. Yeah, very good. Yes?
Pretend to be Uber Eats.
Pretend to be Uber Eats. They never come. So you could easily come in front of them. Probably 9/10 of the people in Sydney are waiting for Uber Eats at any given instant. When are they coming? So very clever. Yes?
You can try brute force the garage door.
Brute force the garage door. Tell everyone about that. That's so clever.
You literally just go around with a tool that sends out random codes and then see what garage door is.
Yeah, if they've got an automatic opening garage door. I remember when my wife's family got one, I popped open the controller and it had a 4-pin dip switch on it. That meant there were only 2 to the 4 possible ways you could configure it. 16 combinations. So what I did, we were in Devonport. As we were driving through Devonport, her mum was driving us around. We were still dating at the time. I just held the remote control out the window, pushing the button. And I figure 1 in 16 houses in Devonport had the door going, starting to ride. That's very, very good. More hands. Yes? Wait for them to leave the door unlocked. Yeah, human, you can never underestimate human ability to stop up.
Offer them $20.
Oh, for them, $20. Bribe them. Like maybe the young one that doesn't care so much, the person that's not going to suffer from letting in. Yeah. Jump the fence. Wait for them to go on vacation.
Hack the government, then change their address to your address and go home.
Hack the government, change their address to your address and go home. Another long game one. That's very clever. Yeah, I mean, there are variants on that. I mean, you could turn that into it's a fun one, but you could actually turn that into a practical attack in different ways. So think about how you can make that practical, but it's very fun. Yes?
Could you do that by just diverting all their mail
Yeah, mail's a funny one. You know, if you're ever worried you're under attack, I think the first thing to do is to put a lock on your mailbox. It's weird that we put all our trusted mail in a public receptacle right on the edge. Yes, that's a good one. Opening a bunch of people in your street.
They were throwing things onto the street.
Yes.
What they were doing essentially was stealing the key, like spare keys that people had in their garages.
Oh.
And then come back a later day. The idea is that they come back a later day.
Coming into the garage, finding spare keys.
Like they're not stealing like any of the.
Yes.
They're going through the cars, but not stealing like any phones.
Yeah.
They're just getting the
Yeah.
spare keys.
Yeah. Yeah.
That people put in the glove.
And did anyone lose their car?
I don't think so.
Yes, but they could easily have happened. That's right. Thank you. Did I see a hand? Was that a hand? Yes. Blackmail?
You could probably just break a window.
Oh, we had break a window, but is there something else they could break?
The chimney.
Go in through the chimney, the Santa Claus attack. Absolutely true.
You could buy the house.
Buy the house. What's that?
That's not breaking in.
What's that?
But also buying the house, not breaking in.
Well, no. Well, I guess it depends. If you needed to break into the house because someone had previously owned the house and had buried treasure in the basement.
That's still not breaking
Yeah, it's not legal, but it is getting access to it. Yeah.
I was saying you can make them believe that there's a danger in their house.
Make them believe there's a danger in the house and have them flee the house. Yeah, that's good. Yes? Pretend to sell them a security system. So good. Yeah, more from down here. Anyone? Yes?
If the person of the current neighbor, if they like move the car to the nearest garage, and
Yes.
like I can intercept their signal, like.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So listen, hear the code when it's transmitted, copy it and do a replay later on. Exactly. Or do a man in the middle at the instant they use it, then relay it to another thing.
Exactly.
Yep, get in through the garage. Yes, good.
In our area, someone's car was broken into and they had their house keys inside. So the house.
House keys inside the car. Yeah.
You pretend to be delivering mail.
Deliver mail. Yeah, do a pretense, and then that gives you a legitimate excuse to go and rattle the front door or have them open the door. Yes.
You do the thing Mark Rober did where he put a drone in a box.
A drone in a box?
Delivered the drone, delivered the box. And then while they were
This is Ocean's 11 attack. You put a midget in a box. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yes. Any more? Yes. Tunnel in. Why don't people tunnel in more often? Yes.
Pickpocket the keys.
Pickpocket the keys.
Hiding in the house before they even move in.
Hide the house before they even move in. What's that? Airdrop in. Yes. Hide the key. Yeah. So finding the key is actually a really practical attack because most people hide the key in a very small number of places. My personal theory is if you tied a 3-meter piece of string to the front doorknob and use that to subscribe a sphere or a hemisphere, depending on the shape of the house, there's a good chance the key is inside that range. Most people, doormats, near the front door somewhere because it's convenient. Inside a rock is very common. A pretend rock, I don't know why people think that's a good idea because everyone knows about it. A friend of mine house sits as a career, it's her whole life. She just house sits. So she has insight into and a lot of data points on where people hide their keys. She said, inside a rock somewhere near the front door, a fake rock, and I would never have thought of this, inside the peg basket are the most common ones she finds, on the clothesline. How about that? Does anyone do that? Don't put your hand up. Yes? Is that a stretch or an answer? Stretch. Is there any more? We'll just take one more, then we'll stop. Yes? What's that? Scam call. How would you do it with a scam call?
You can get voice.
Yeah, you can scam the voice. What would you say to them? I'm a family member, I'm stuck somewhere, come and get me, and they'll leave. Yeah.
Hold their pet hostage.
Hold their pet hostage. Hostage works well. Yes? Law enforcement, pretend. Call, swat them. Okay.
Some notable ones from online.
What's that? Oh, some from online. Oh, sorry, online people. I forgot about you. Chris,
yes,
call out the best.
I had man in the middle of the garage door, which is a good one. steal their child.
Yes. Pet is even easier.
I'm just trying to be able to scroll down here. Hang on.
Very clever.
Shout out to the villagers in Canberra. Pretend to be Amazon, live in the bush. There was one that I quite liked. Oh yeah, break the door and pretend to be the door. Yes.
That has to be the best one we've ever had. Yes.
Hack the land registry. Change the
Hack.
owner of itself.
Change the LPI. Yes, and now that's been privatized.
Didn't
Yeah.
that happen? I think
Yeah, there's a
Giants
recent
did that
attack.
to,
There's a recent attack like that. Yes, and there's a. I'm trying to remember the name of the registry in Australia, but we privatized it a while ago to make money, and there have been attacks against. I think it's what's it called? Anyway, there are scams against it. Yeah, it's quite scary. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got lots and lots, lots and lots. Oh wow, these are fantastic. I'm going to take a photo of this at the end. Can I just say, we could keep playing this game forever. There are so many ways of breaking into a house. We had break the window, and we had pick the lock. You can just kick the lock out. I mean, the lock bolt is into the frame. It's normally a very thin part of the frame. The front door is normally where people defend the best. No one said the back door. People talked about breaking windows. You can just open a window. You can go underneath the house if it's on pylons and come up through the floor. All you need is a battery-powered jigsaw. You could go in through the ceiling. If they've got roof tiles, they're held on with tiny bits of old wire that you can just pull off. You can go straight in. Someone broke into my house once by just kicking a hole in the wall. There are as many ways to break into a house as you can think of. Yet when we lock our houses, we think they're safe. Houses are not safe. I've been locked out of my own house so many times. There's never been a time I haven't been able to get straight back in. Hiding the key. I do hide a key. Guess where I hide the key? I have two strategies.
Your wife's keyring.
My wife's keyring. Strategy one is in a park that's not too far from my house. So someone that finds it has no clue at all about where my house is. So every house I've ever rented probably still has a tree somewhere nearby it with a key in it for my house. The other one is if I actually have to hide it somewhere near the house, I'm in a situation where a key has to be hidden somewhere near, I do not hide it where I think is a good spot, because the bad guys know how we think, and the spots we think are good spots are the first place they look. Instead, I close my eyes, I spin round randomly and jerk my hand out randomly, and I have to hide it wherever I'm pointing. So now they have to brute force to find it because I'm not actually falling into any patterns. There's lots of hands. I won't come to them if you want because we're running out of time, but I love that your hands are still going up. I love all your answers. I want to tell you the world's fastest story. Physical security, locks, houses, is a great way of us learning. I talked about learning from mistakes. Cybersecurity is a new field, but security's been around forever. So what we're going to do over and over in this course is we're going to look at other areas where there are established professional practices of known things that work and known things that don't work, and we're going to steal those ideas and apply them to cybersecurity. Physical security is sort of like that, but it's also a little bit different, because if the bad guy gets access to the computer, we say it's game over. There's no point in having a secure system which has all sorts of software security if the bad guy can actually get physical access to your system. So a really important part of any software setup is securing physically the environment. To start teaching physical security years ago, 20 years ago or so, when I first ran this course, I did an exercise. There were only 20 students. We went outside to one of the foyers nearby on the main walkway. It was a new building then, it's an old building now. And I said, look at this foyer. Isn't it fantastic? It's newly designed, it's so secure. Everyone in pairs, look, it was an evening class, go up and have a look and write down the 3 best security features you can see about this foyer that stop an unauthorized person getting in. And you go, you've got 5 minutes. So everyone goes, buzz, 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 buzz. And they fool around and then they say, who's got good ones? And they're telling me, the line of sight's good and the thickness of the glass is good and the visibility line here is good and the way the lock is wired up is good. And everyone just, and they would find all these incredible, because it was a well-designed foyer, they would find all these incredibly good things about how the foyer was defended. And every year, and I did it for 3 years, and then the class got too big and I couldn't do it anymore. Every year, people would come up with new ways I'd never thought of. New, really strong features that were built into this thing to defend it. And I said, that's incredible. And eventually, we'd slow down a bit, and everyone had said their best ones. And I said, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being Fort Knox, 1 being terrible, how would you rate the security of this foyer, the physical security? And everyone goes 5 or 4. Everyone. And then I say, well done, you guys are awesome security analysts. I really like the way you could see all these really strong defensive features. I'm so proud of you. Let's meet back in the lecture theatre in 5 minutes. Oh, and by the way, this Mars bar to the first person to break into that foyer. But you can't break the law, you can't damage anything, you can't use any special equipment except things you have in your pocket or lying around on the ground. Go. And every year, someone broke in those 5 to 10 minutes to the foyer. I can only remember 2 of them, unfortunately. One of them, a girl made a paper aeroplane out of a big poster nearby. She made the world's biggest paper aeroplane, I guess. And she threw it, and it went up. It was a 2-story sort of foyer door entry area, and there were windows open for ventilation on the inside. And it sailed through an open window and went like an air vent window, and went and past the movement sensor. And the door just opened. Another year, a boy found a piece of fencing wire because there was a construction nearby. It was a roped off area with a bit of building rubble and things inside it, and it had obviously been roped off with wire initially, and he just found a long segment of wire, and he bent it over twice. It was sort of that very ductile wire, not the high tensile wire, and he bent it over and he twisted it to make a thick piece of wire, and then he bent it into a U shape, but with a square U like this, and he slid one end under the door, and he stood on the base bit of the U, and with one arm on the inside of the door and one arm of the U on the outside of the door, he just lifted it up quickly, and it went on the inside, whack, and hit the door release button, and the door opened. Yeah, applause. I reckon I could have done that every year. We could do it now, and you guys would find amazing ways that would blow my socks off and make my toes curl, clever ways of breaking in. But here's the real question, and this is hopefully the thought you get to take away from tonight. How is it that when I asked everyone how secure it was, everyone thought it was very secure? And yet, they're easily able to break in within a few minutes, just using things lying on the ground, without being a superpower, without being an awesome hacker, without anything. Why? At the very back.
It sort of sounds like when they're thinking of it before being asked to break in, there's like their mind is not going to this idea of breaking in, and so it's like the idea of like the frankly maybe to them not very moral things that they would need to do doesn't come to mind, and they think, oh, this is great.
That's a really, what's your name? That's the second good thing you've said. Lorenzo. That's really good. Did you have something too?
They were looking at the strengths.
They were looking at the strengths. Sort of what Lorenzo was saying. What do the people online say, Chris?
Sorry, I was distracted by a couple of other things.
He's looking at cat pictures again.
They are my cats, though.
Yeah. A friend of mine, who we will, a former student in fact, who we will hopefully get to visit us in one class, who now runs something very important somewhere on the other side of the world, tells me that his girlfriend is Indian and loves pictures of cows. And he says, I don't know why I've started to love pictures of cows too. And he says, I just sit at work looking at pictures of cows. They're so interesting. Cats. Anyone online say anything?
Not notably. I will have to speak up again, but I don't want to destroy them.
All right. Okay. So here's the point. You sort of got it. I tricked them. I was mean bastard Richard. I said to everyone, I want everyone to think of the 3 best security features. I'm priming them. A magician would call that, oh, there's a name for it. I'm setting them up to fail. So they all listed all the really good things about defense. But what does an attacker attack? They ignore the strong things and the good things. We call this attacker mindset and defender mindset. If you're a defender, the worst thing you can do, but everyone does it, is you fall into defender mindset. And you look lovingly at that big expensive front door, that big fancy firewall, that fantastic intrusion detection system, your CloudStrike cloud monitoring platform. You look at the best bits And if we ask you how good your system is, you just see the best bits and you say it's really good. If you have defender mindset, you are useless as a defender. To understand where your weaknesses are is the important thing, and for that you need attacker mindset. So in this course, and over the rest of all of our other courses, we will be teaching attacker mindset. Now, just to be clear, attacker mindset is not enough. Attackers just try this and that, and they've got to be clever and cunning, but they're not systematic. To defend is actually a harder thing than attacking. You need to be systematic, and you need to have a whole lot of sort of professional and engineering skills, but you also need to understand how to think like an attacker. So we're going to talk a lot about attacker mindset. Now, I had a question for everyone. I would like you all, oh Chris, do we have that QR code?
Yes. Just before we do go to that, I do need to speak up and address this, which I hate doing because I did just speak up and say something.
Yes.
But the course notes are public and we didn't want to authenticate it, but now we have to. So whoever wrote those comments, and you know who you are, drop the course. We don't want you. You are not welcome. Anyone who makes anybody else feel excluded or not included in any way, you are not welcome. And it's really rich to be talking like that and saying things like that in a course full of lawyers. So not only are you not ethical enough to take security, you are not smart enough to then be taking security. Drop the course, we don't want you.
Oh, that's very aggressive. I now really want to read it. So yeah, look, thanks, Chris. And I can see you're actually personally, is it actually hurt?
I'm not even part of the group that they were talking about, or groups, several, but it's absolutely disgusting.
I don't think we should have anonymous things anyway. Everyone should always be proud to stand by what they say.
First time in 10 years where this has had to change, so you've ruined it for everyone.
I did once, the first year I did this, have someone put a penis picture on the lecture notes because they could edit the lecture notes while I was showing them. But it only happened once, and it was a little bit funny, and then they took it off. Okay.
I'll get that QR code ready for you now.
Thank you, Chris. So here's what I want you to do. I want everyone to think, in the film we showed at the beginning, the film clip, what are the 3 best physical security features you observed in that bunker and on the journey to the bunker? What are the 3 best? And I also want you to think about 3 weaknesses, things that could be improved, or flaws, things they haven't thought about. You've got the rest of the lecture to do it, but I'd like you to talk amongst yourselves, talk to the people around you and have an idea. We'll put a QR code up, scan the QR code, go to the Moodle site, type it in. That's just how we're going to mark lecture attendance. I've got to say how lecture attendance works. You've got until the end of the lecture to enter it. We discovered last year that a lot of people weren't coming to the course. And that was fine, because I thought everyone's going to be online, so that's fine. And then when we got to the final exam, it was the most sad experience I've ever had. I'd say maybe 20% of the people wrote answers that you would have written if you hadn't even done the course. They just, I don't know. And I looked at the logs, and people weren't watching the lectures. And then I observed my own daughter, who was in another course at another uni, and she said, "Oh, it's online, terrific. I'm not going to do anything. I'll watch all the lectures in the last week." To watch all the lectures in the last week, you'll learn the facts. You'll learn how AES encryption works, and you'll learn the right bit length to use when you're doing hashing to defend against a birthday attack. You'll learn all the sort of facts and things like that. But what you won't get is this mindset. You won't get the attacker mindset. You won't get the security eyes. We really want you to get them. So we've decided this year, and actually it's starting to happen around the uni, we actually want everyone to be, and the other problem was the people that weren't following along would turn up to the tutes where we have these big collective discussions, and they'd be useless. And they'd have to have everything explained to them, and they wouldn't contribute, and it was awful. So now we've decided, no, we want everyone to move at the same speed. So we're not going to be dictatorial, and we're not going to, we're not going to scan people's badges when they come in and all sorts of things like other lecturers suggested we do. But what we're going to do is we're going to ask a quiz question. And it's the sort of question we could ask in the exam. And we want you to think about it now for the rest of the lecture and practice writing an answer, and then just get it in before the end of the class, discuss it with each other. We'll pause in a sec so you can discuss. And then your tutor will look at your answers and give you some feedback. And we'll do that every week. So by the time you get to the final exam, you'll actually have done analysis every week and you'll know how to answer that question. So, Chris, do we know the QR code?
The QR code is up.
How do we find it?
Go to WebCMS.
WebCMS.
And then the collaborative lecture notes.
Here. I'll have to reload the page, I guess.
Probably. On the sidebar, collaborative lecture notes. No, there are others as well. Okay, this will be it.
Oh, it's very big. Let me make it slightly smaller.
One more.
One more? Okay, so yeah, everyone go. Well, just talk amongst yourself for 5 minutes, think of something, and type it in. Your 3 best, your 3 worst. I'll keep lecturing after 5 minutes, but you can keep thinking. Can I say in this course, because we'll always be making decisions, and a funny thing about security is that the situations we're analysing will always be complicated. And there'll always be a million things you can do, and a million pieces of software you can buy, and a million strategies. And if you're a CISO or someone acting to defend, you have to quickly identify what are the most important things, because there's not enough time and resources in the world to do everything. So we'll always, when we ask you to do 3 things, we'll ask you to rank them, to put the most important first, the next most important, and the third most important. And we'll do that in the final exam, and there's actually marks for getting the ranking right, as well as having good points. So you'll think of 50 things, but we just want your top 3 things that you saw from that film that were good defenses, the top 3 that were bad. There's no marks for this, it's just lecture attendance. If you don't get it working, it's okay, because we're doing it as a dry run today. We'll assume everyone attended today, so it won't count against your total. But if everyone could just chat to the people around you for a few minutes, and then quickly type something in. Go. Share your ideas.
Through the assessment
Yep.
today.
Yep.
Because there's also been, because the website wasn't checked, there's a little bit of false information.
Oh, what is Okay, so just a tiny little bit more content, and we're going to talk about the course assessment and the mechanics. A tiny bit more. We've actually talked about most of this. What is your biggest danger? We'll talk more about it tomorrow, but I think the biggest danger of a security person is thinking they've solved the problem. And I have a gesture that sort of indicates that. If someone asks you a question and you go, here's the answer, done. Just never ever do that. In this course, lots of times we'll ask you hard questions. You'll think of an answer that's good. In a normal course where there's one right answer and one wrong answer, once you've got the answer, you can go done. We never do that. Because hiding behind that answer is a better answer, and hiding behind that one is a better. You can't just give up until you find the perfect answer, or you'll never get anything done in security, so you just have to go with the best you can. But never, ever, ever stop thinking and stop mulling it over. So that is our biggest danger, overconfidence. Sometimes that's called hubris. The defenders before had hubris. This is a really fun book I'm reading at the moment called Hubris. It's about the Second World War, and it's a military historian analysing how human pride and overconfidence led to so many bad things happening in the course of that war. It's by Alistair Horn. It's a really interesting book. It's not in the exam, but you might find it interesting if you're interested in hubris. We all suffer from hubris. The other book I wanted to show you, and this book everyone should read. It's The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It's almost a cliche. Every year I think, oh, I can't talk about Sun Tzu anymore. It's become such a cliche now. Everyone that studies security talks about this book. But if you just pick it up and flip through, you go, oh, good grief, that's amazing. I think Sun Tzu is one of the cleverest people I've ever met. I had a fantastic Chinese student once who gave me his favourite translation, because there's so many translations of it. It was the most beautiful gift. I just think this book is absolute magic. Research and find a translation that's a good one. This is one I quite like. There's some that are really fat. I suggest you don't get a fat one. It's Sun Tzu plus a whole lot of commentary. Just get the words of Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu is a famous Chinese general who really understood strategy and tactics in a way that I don't know that anyone had before. Certainly no one wrote it down. And reading this book makes my brain bigger whenever I read it. Because he doesn't just think about what you should do right now and here's a good idea. He steps back and sees what's really going on and what's really important. This is an incredible book. It's not examinable. You should have a copy. Yes?
You dropped your mic.
Drop the mic for Sun Tzu. It is a drop the mic moment. Oh, how fitting. Thank you, universe. Okay. So they're two interesting books. I'll try and bring a good book along each time. I now want to talk about the admin structure of the course, and then there's a final exercise about physical security to do before you go home. The structure of the course is as follows, the assessments. There are 3 assessments in the course. And Lyria found a mistake, so I'll have to fix it in the mark breakdown. There are 3 assessments in the course, one worth 30, one worth 30, and one worth 40. I don't really care what mark you get in the course, and if you're doing this course to get a high mark, we'll do another course. I think you should be doing this course to change, and at the end, to be a security thinker. This course is prep for all our subsequent ones. But I know for lots of you, marks are really important, and for a whole range of reasons, marks are important. So I'll tell you our mark scheme, but I'm just as proud of the student a couple of years ago that barely passed, but did this most amazing project that absorbed their mind for the entire course, as a student that passed everything and came top in everything, like Lyria did several years ago when you topped the course. Sat in as a random visitor and came top in the whole course. Okay, so the 3 parts are, there's some weekly exercises. Depending which course you're involved in, there's different weekly exercises. You have a week to do them. They're released on a Wednesday. They're due on the following Tuesday. The exact times are online. I won't repeat it in case I get it wrong. The online things are, you do an exercise and you make a few notes about it. And you do another exercise and you make a few notes about it. And the place you make the few notes each time, we call your logbook. And at the end of the week, each week, your tutor goes through your logbook and marks it. And they don't look at everything you've done, they just look at a range of things, a spot check of things, and they'll give you feedback on whether they think you could improve and what they think was excellent. Do that every week, add it together, gives you the mark at the end. We've said that you only need to do 6 of them. In fact, but it is in fact, you only need to do 7 of them. There's a mistake on that.
Yeah, that was the mistake, yeah. So essentially, we take the best 7, right? So you should do it every week because you don't know what's going to go wrong in your life over the course of the term.
Yes.
But if you have to miss one or one is not very good because, you know, life happens, then don't panic because we only take the best 7.
We only take the best 7. That's right.
Sorry? 9 in total.
9 in total. And your tutor, who you see each week, is going to mark it, and they'll give you feedback, and you should ask them lots of questions. And the goal isn't to try and get full marks. The goal is to try and write awesome stuff and do awesome stuff. And some of you will choose to do this exercise, and some will choose to do that, and some of you will go deep in this area, and some of you will go broad, and all of those things are fine. We just want you to engage with the course and develop your analytic mindset. So you hand that in each week, and you get feedback each week on how that's going. The second thing, also worth 30, is a project. You get to pick the project. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but you've only got a week to pick it. It can be whatever you want. We want you, over your time in this course, to do something awesome. The project is called Something Awesome. You can pick whatever you want as long as it lines up with the objectives of the course. Sometimes people build things. Someone built a rubber ducky. Sometimes people do legislative change. One person did a fantastic submission to Parliamentary Commission that she actually submitted. One girl one year did a GIPA. She lodged a Freedom of Information request to track something down. You can do anything. What you should do is pick something that stretches you, because the point is you're trying to develop and become fantastic. So if you can already build a rubber ducky, don't pick it. It's boring. Pick something you wish you could do and then do it. We'll help you. Your tutor will help you. They'll help you negotiate the topic and work out the right scope. At the end of the course, the best thing in the whole course happens. In your tute, everyone presents their something awesome. It is so moving, it gives me tingles to think about it. Chris, how do you feel about that time when it happens?
The end of the course?
Yeah, when everyone presents their something awesome.
Yeah, I think it's the most rewarding part of the course. So if you get nothing out, make sure you do that and put your heart and soul into it.
We give no marks for the presentation in that last week where everyone presents their thing, and that is probably the most important part of the whole course. So do the something awesome. Start thinking now. We've got a whole lot of industry people who are suggesting topics people can do. I'll tell you all about them tomorrow. In week 4, you'll present how it's going at the conference if you're feeling like you want to show people what you're doing and what your idea is. And you'll get feedback from leading people in the cyber community. No matter what you're doing, can I encourage you to challenge yourself and present it in week 4? And you'll get such terrific feedback on it. What else? The last thing to, the last part of it is the exam. That's worth 40%. The exam is a take-home exam. You do it from home, so stay-at-home exam. It's online, it's open book, you can't use AI, you can't communicate with other humans. But other than that, just do the best you can from home. It's quite relaxed. It's about 2 hours long for 2 of the courses, and we'll give you 3 hours to do it. And for the people doing 6841, there's also a prac exam where you get to attack some things and do some stuff. That lasts for 3 hours, and we give you 4 hours to do that. It's just so you're not stressed by it. Please attend the lectures and think about the course before you do the exam, because what we're trying to test in the exam is, remember I said there were 3 parts to the course? We're trying to test the mindset, and the part of the mindset we really care about is analysis. We'll be talking about analysis more tomorrow. Military and intelligence analysis are examples of great analysis. We want to know your security analysis skills, and we will work with you on that over the whole course. At the end of the course, I want to see great analysis. Analysis means you look at a situation and you see this is important, this is not important, this sort of thing needs that sort of response, this sort of thing raises these questions in my mind, we should ask this question because of that. It's not getting into the detail, it's thinking like Sun Tzu and just noticing what's important. So analysis for us is everything. It's a bit hard to test. When we did the tutor training, and your tutors are amazing, by the way. We run a long recruitment process for the tutors. We make them submit an expression of interest. We get some number applying. We take half that number or less. When they apply, and then Chris does this grilling interview with some of the admins where they're called in and they ask them all sorts of questions and make them do analysis and all sorts of things. They're fantastic people. We had the tutor meeting last Friday, was it, or Thursday? Thursday night. The tutors came, a lot of them are working in security and came back. A lot of them are other security students and they came back. They came in because they're still studying. We all sat down and I just said at the beginning, or it might have been your idea, Chris or Lyria's, can everyone just go around the room and just say their name to introduce yourself to everyone, because the people that have been working in industry for a couple of years didn't know the new people. Can everyone just say their name, what they're doing, and why you want to tutor this course? There were maybe 30 people there. I thought we'd knock it over in 30 minutes. It took, was it a week? Some ridiculous amount of time, because we couldn't shut them up when they started talking. And they were saying over and over again, I'm tutoring this course because this course changed me. The word change, I think nearly every person said. One person said, this is the only course I did at uni that changes me. It changes how I think. Not only am I good at security now, I learned all about security, I apply it to everything. And when we later on said, what's the most important thing we teach in the course? Everyone, I think without fail, said, mindset. Mindset. We want you to get this mindset. It's not something you can memorize in the last week and repeat in an exam. It's actually changing how you think about people. And if we do the job right, and you approach it with an open mindset, and you approach it with a big warm heart, and you try really hard to do it, at the end of this course, you can be a different person to when you've come. And we'll do everything we can. We think about it and dream about it all the time, about how to bring about this mindset change. Chris, are you twitching because you want to say something?
Yeah, I see some questions up there. Richard is a T-Rex. His vision is based on movement. So if you have a question, you need to wave at him, because otherwise he just will not see you.
And I also have very small arms. Yes? Question? Oh, yes, sorry. Not only a T-Rex, are the T-Rex short-sighted?
Where does the weekly log go? Where does the weekly log go?
What a handsome man you are. I can see you now. Yes, where does a weekly logbook go? Oh, we'll tell you all that tomorrow. And your tutor will tell you in the first tute. You don't have to do anything before your first tute. Yeah. Brilliant. I'll keep them on so I can see. Is anyone else waving at me? Mum. So we're almost out of time. Is there anything else we have to talk about? Hubris. I think, the last thing is I haven't talked about simplified grading scheme. We introduced something called the and there's if you hand in the project late, you get an automatic extension of up to 3 days. You just have to let your tutor know you're applying for it and give them the reason. You probably have to go through special consideration as well.
Just on that, I think Lyria will call it out as well. There's a website or something that'll do the tracking of...
so that might be easier than telling tutors?
But the tutor needs to know, don't they? Or they don't even need?
The university's now running a system.
Oh, so yeah, the uni runs their own system. Yeah, we did it. We've done it in the past, but now the uni actually picked it up. So, yeah, so don't worry about it. So if you need an extension, you can have one up to 3 days. But the other thing we do that the uni hasn't picked up yet, but I hope they do, is we have something called simplified grading. And it's an option. You can pick whether you want it or not. We copied it from Princeton, which does it. It's the best idea. So you are all in default grading, which is just like normal UNSW stuff. But if you write to your tutor saying, I want to be in simplified grading, they'll put you in simplified grading. And if you change your mind, write to them again, and you can change back. And you can change as often as you want till the end of, check the website, but I think it's the end of week 7. Then whatever you've got at the end of week 7 is what you've got. Only for comp students, law students don't get simplified grading. Simplified grading works like this. If you pass those 3 elements of the course, you automatically get 70 in the course. That's it, that's your mark. So you can just relax. You can focus on the things you really care about. You don't have to chase marks and get all tense, and you will get 70. You just got to pass the exam, the something awesome, and the weekly stuff. That's not hard if you're engaged in the course. Just 70 marks for nothing. But if you really like getting more marks and marks are important to you, sure, go for the rest. If you just pass 2 of those things, you get 50 marks. If you just pass 1 of those things, can't remember the number, I think you get 30 marks. If you just pass 1 of those things, What does that mean? You failed the exam? You failed the project? Ah! If you fail all of them, well, don't mess with me. Don't mess, can't be possible. Okay, so that's simplified grading. Think about it. Some of the students who did it last year said it's the best thing they ever did. They always get stressed in courses. This let them relax, and they are able to just focus on doing things they really cared about. Other students looked at it and said, why on earth would I want to do that? There's all these different mindsets. I don't care which one you pick the one that works for you. But success for me is you leave this course a changed person and you fall in love with learning the stuff we teach. Success for me has nothing to do with the mark you get. But if success for you is a mark, then go for it. Cool. Here are the 4 phases, and then we're done. There's 4 phases in the developer the mindset, and we're going to go through them all in this course. The first one is D. You learn about defender mindset. And I've said barbarian because this is what Sun Tzu wrote once. If you hit a barbarian here, they put their hand up there. If you hit a barbarian, I'm not saying you're a barbarian. If you hit a barbarian here, they put their hand up here. They just react to everything. He says, don't be a barbarian. Don't be reactive. Don't let the other person control what you do. If a defender mindset is this reactive mindset. You need to be thinking first. You need to control where the person's going to strike you, and you need your response to be the right response, not a react. Don't be a piece of cork bobbing on a river. Don't be a barbarian. Second, attacker mindset. We're going to teach you attacker mindset, and over we're going to work on it. Already I heard lots of great attacker mindset things. You've all got it in you a bit already, or a lot, and we'll just try and encourage that and develop that more. Third is E. What's E stand for? That's a question for you. What's that?
You dropped your mic again.
I dropped the mic again. And now, our final exercise of the day. I hope to see you all again tomorrow. I hope you stay for the movie and the pizza. It's going to be awesome fun, but you don't need to. Online people, it's nice having you on board. I hope all our bugs are ironed out now. Here's our final exercise. This is a cross-cut shredder. A cross-cut shredder chops up a piece of paper vertically and horizontally, because it's easy to reassemble if you just cross it vertically. I'm going to write something on a card with a waterproof marker. A message. I've just written a message on it. I'm now turning on the crosscut shredder. If someone wants, come down here, I will give you a plastic bag full of that, and you will come down and you will blow us away if you can reassemble it by tomorrow. By tomorrow. If you don't get it done tomorrow and you get it done next week, you'll also impress us. You've got to get the vibe of this course is we're just so easily impressed. Just do what you can. Yeah, come down, I'll give it to you. So if anyone else would like to engage in this challenge, we're only doing a small card, but it does seem impossible. This is an example of physical security. The thing about physical security, it's something we sometimes call security theatre. It looks secure. You're nullified, you're tricked, mollified into thinking that what you're seeing is a secure thing. It's not secure at all. This chopped up thing, I'd like you to tell me what the message is. It's a secret about me.
Oh, about you. It's not the one back there.
It's not what's on the table, no. Well done for spotting that.
Does it have anything to do with me?
Does it? There you go. Take that. If anyone else wants it, come down and grab one now. Otherwise, I'll see you all tomorrow. Good luck.